Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. This is my 1950 Farmall H. And recently I purchased this thing. It had been on a family ranch since the day it was purchased. It was bought, it was single family owner, bought in 1950, and it was on this same farm for 75 years. And when the grandfather passed away, um, or the I don't know, a couple generations later, when the father passed away, it kind of sat and didn't really get the attention as far as changing the oil and fluids and keeping it running and everything. So even though it was advertised, runs perfect, basically what, it was running when they parked it like 5 years ago or something. And it had been sitting there quite a while. And when I went to pick it up, the cool thing about it is it came with, they gave me a sickle mower, which is a scary looking thing. They gave me a little V plow, and then they also gave me a snow plow. So, and they gave me some pretty new chains for the tires. So I did get a lot of stuff with it, and I got the original manual and quite a bit of books, and they gave me some tune-up parts that the dad had purchased but didn't get around to doing it. So, but when I went to pick it up, it wasn't running. We kind of got it on my trailer, and I was able to get it home, but it really was not running. And I think the fuel tank was messed up. And anyway, we're going to go through this thing, and I'm going to, so this series is going to be about this 1950 Farmall tractor. And we're going to start out basically doing an oil change because it probably hasn't been done in a long time. And then we're going to do a full tune-up. In this video, we're going to do an oil change, filter change, a tune-up, a carb adjustment, change the plugs, points, try to get this thing running, really, at least running. And then we'll slowly look at it and figure out what else it needs. But I think we're going to go ahead and restore this. Originally, I had bought it for yard art, but I decided it'd be fun to get it running. Anyway, let's get started. We'll start out with the oil change. Let's get started.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living any way he can. And he'll break his back for a buck or two. Oh, there ain't no shame in what he do. Oh, work it out.
The first thing we do on the tune-up procedure for this 1950 Farmall H is change the oil. And there's a plug right here on the bottom, and basically I think it's a 3/4 inch like pipe thread. And basically we let that drain out, and we're going to change the filter up here, and it has a drain plug on the bottom, and basically get another bucket to set there to drain that little plug out. And it makes a little mess because it kind of runs on the rail. Right here you can get these filters, they're still available, and you can get almost anything for the Farmall tractor, which is really cool. And it's actually fun to work on these little tractors. Right here I'm pulling off the canister, cleaning it all out, and I also kind of clean out the inside. Everything actually didn't look too bad so far. The oil came out black, but it wasn't gunky or anything. It was just hadn't been changed in a long time, and it came out smooth. So right here I put the new washer on and put the new filter in, and then it has a bolt right on the top, and I tighten it down. Tighten it pretty snug. You don't need to over tighten it, but tighten it enough where it's not going to leak. Next up, I Teflon tape the bottom drain plug. It's just a habit. And then I also Teflon tape this little filter drain plug, and basically put all that back together. And then it was that's it for the oil change. It was time to put in the oil. Now, basically once I put these plugs back in, you can see right there, that's where to fill up the oil, right there on the right. It's kind of got a big steel cap, and I clean it up. And the previous owner, which was a one-person owner, like I said, they were using 20/50 Valvoline. And I thought, Well, that's a good idea, just to use the same thing he was using. He's in my same area. They've owned it. It's like I said, the same family owned it for 75 years. So I thought, well, I'll just go with what he recommended. Actually, he's not there anymore, but they happened to give me a box that the old man had ready to tune up this tractor, and no one ever did it. And it had this 2050 Valvoline in the box, and it also had plugs, points, condenser that he gave me with the tractor, or the owners gave me with the tractor. Right there, I put the plug in, so the oil change is all done at this point. And then I noticed the light switch didn't work, so I replaced this switch and got the lights working again. I do think that the wires are, a lot of the wires on this tractor are original, so at some point we're going to do a video and change a lot of the wiring. It doesn't have a lot of wires on it, so it doesn't take that much. So right here I'm taking off the bonnet, and the way you do that is you basically take off the exhaust and take off the air vent, and that bonnet comes right off. Now you have easier access for the plugs. And I pre-gapped these plugs at 0.25, and I read a lot of stuff online. Guys gap them anywhere between 0.24 and 0.32, I believe. But in my case, most of the guys were running like 0.25, and they seemed to be doing good. So that's what I did mine at. I just gapped them at 0.25, and then I put all the new plugs in. And I just replaced one at a time and then stuck the wire back on so I wouldn't lose my wiring positions. And basically so the new plugs are in. Now it's time to mess with this distributor. And as soon as I figured out this was a future problem for sure, as soon as I took off the rotor cap, it was all corroded. And then when I looked inside to the points, they were all rusted and not looking good at all. I was surprised I even got this thing started at all. And so I turned it over to top dead center just to check the existing gap and see how it was. And the gap was actually pretty close, but you can see right in there, even though this picture is not that great, it was really rusty. And matter of fact, when I took the condenser off and grabbed the points broke off right in my hand. They were so rusted that the piece that actually bolts on broke off. And I didn't even put any pressure on it. I was just pulling it out. So we clean everything up. I put a little grease around the armature there. I don't know if you call it the armature, but the thing that turns and that rotates. I greased that up a little bit, and then I put the new points in, put the new condenser in. I have a little magnetic tray underneath there because when you're putting the screw in for either one, the points or the condenser, it's such a small screw, and it's a little awkward to put in there that you're going to lose it a couple times. So if you have this magnetic tray, it'll just fall right in this tray. Anyway, I get the condenser and points all put in, and then it was time to check this gap. And basically on the points, I'm running 0.20, and that's what's recommended in the book. And basically that's what on the forums, that's what I hear everybody gapping their points at on these FarmallH's. And so I basically get that all adjusted and make sure that the gap is good. And then I actually checked the timing, and you can see that rotor cap was all corroded inside. So I did put a new rotor and a rotor cap on there. Now right here, I'm going to switch out these wires, but the guy had previously bought this little set of wires, but when I was cutting them to size and getting ready to put these on, I realized real quick that the wires that were on the tractor were better than these new wires. So at this point, I'm not going to go with these new wires. I ended up just tossing those new wires and going back to the old wires because they seemed to be more heavy duty. Next up, I greased everything I could find, and then I started up the tractor. Now at this point it's running, and I decided, okay, I'll put the sheet metal back on, but I kind of felt like the carburetor wasn't adjusted properly. So right now we got pretty good tune-up going, but I needed to adjust the carburetor. And I basically got everything cleaned up and got ready to adjust this carburetor. Now right here you can see the carburetor, and everything's easy to access. That's what I love about this thing. Now right on the bottom here is your needle and seat, and basically what I did was I decided to unscrew this thing all the way and just kind of get it, and then screw it back in till it hit resistance, and then back it off one full turn. Now at this point I don't know if that's perfect yet, but and then you can't see because I'm right in the way of the camera, but I'm adjusting the air fuel mixture, which I screw it all the way down, and then I backed it off 2 turns. And then once that was done, I basically started up the tractor and then adjusted the throttle. Once I had it running, I could actually adjust the throttle screw, and I basically took and screwed it down until it went all the way down, and then I came back up till it started to come back up, and then backed it off until it was right at the lowest point where it still sounded really good. So right here, right there is your throttle adjustment. Right here is your air fuel mixture, right there. And then right down here is your fuel, to regulate your fuel. Now on the bottom, on this bottom one, this one right here, basically what I do is I loosen up this nut with the 9/16 or 7/16. I run the needle up until I feel resistance, and then I backed it off one full turn. And on the throttle, on the air fuel mixture, I ran it all the way down, and then I backed it up 2 turns. And then basically I adjusted the throttle. As soon as I heard it going up, like hear it going up right there, then I backed it down until it was just starting to go down. And right there you can hear it's actually running the best I've heard it so far. Anyway, I'm going to take this thing for a little spin just to see how it feels. One thing I did was I was fooling around and I engaged the PTO, and now I can't disengage it, so that's something I'm going to have to figure out. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will definitely see you next time. Later.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living any way he can. And he'll break his back for $1 or $2. Oh, there ain't no shame in what he do.